All right, guys, so the title says it all. I lost all of my money. All right, so when I was 18 years old, I had a successful online business and I blew all of the bankroll that I saved up over the years that I was running it. And here are the 3 mistakes that I made. And these are not what you're probably thinking that caused me to lose it all. All right, so first things first, guys. As a business owner, it's almost like a rite of passage to lose all of your money. You're going to do it at least once. Now, you could argue people that were smart, like Warren Buffett, didn't do it. Maybe there are people out there that don't go through it. But out of all the people I know, everyone has done this at least one time. So that's just the way it is. You almost have to lose something to really value it in the long run there. So through that loss, you gain wisdom. Wisdom to manage money. You learn a lot about yourself, a lot about your flaws and your shortcomings. So you kind of have to make the mistake, but hopefully you watching this video today will help you avoid that. All right, so mistake number 1, this is one every dumb young kid does. I went out and bought a fancy car. So I was, I think it was 17 right before I turned 18. I bought a Porsche. It was a 2-year-old. I was 2 years old at that point. It was freaking sweet. Looking back though, it was done. Problem with these Porsches is not so much the upfront expense. I mean, it was a $70,000 car, but it costs money to maintain these stupid things. Per year, if you guys aren't familiar with the cost of tires on expensive cars, they are $500 to $700 a piece per tire, $700 per tire. So each year, you're dropping like $2,500 on new tires. You got to do premium gas. You have to get a $400 oil change. All this stuff adds up. So you're essentially, over the lifetime of that car, let's say it costs you $70,000, it costs you about another $70,000 to keep and maintain it. All right, in addition to that, guys, these stupid personal mistakes, like these big expenditures, this is not the danger. Because reason why is because you're able to keep track of that. If you're dropping 70 G's, you know you've done it. The real problem, though, is small daily expenditures that get out of control. All right, so there's a saying that small leaks sink big ships. And I believe that's totally true when it comes to money management. All right, the problem is that as us, I don't know where I heard this, we're essentially like chimpanzees with car keys. And that means that once we start getting all this money, we're so primitive that we blow it on lifestyle bloat and all this stupid stuff. And one of the things that, looking back, I really have blown my money on has been going out to restaurants. I tallied it up. I continually do this just to kind of like remind myself of the pain. I've blown about $25,000 to $30,000 a year over the last 10 years on going to restaurants. Now, you could say that realistically you're going to spend about $10,000 a year on food. So that being said, there's about $200,000 in post-tax money that I could have right now to have invested in solid businesses like Berkshire Hathaway, Coca-Cola, Apple, although I think all these are overvalued at the moment, but I'm not a financial advisor, so don't take that as financial advice. All right, but what I'm getting at is I could have an asset right now churning income for me had I had a little bit extra self-restraint. That's probably, looking back, one of the biggest errors I made, is those small lifestyle expenditures. Now, granted, right now, that for me is a very small percentage of my income, so it doesn't really matter, but I still want to work on this for discipline reasons. All right. Mistake number 3, and this is the big one. This is the big one, and this is failed investments. A lot of NFL players, for example, they don't go broke. You know, they do the stupid thing like buy mansions and stuff, but if you look at a lot of the mistakes they made were failed business investments. All right, just because you take money and invest it into something doesn't mean you're doing the right thing. Let me just explain. Let's say you take $70,000 and instead of buying a Porsche, you were like, all right, I'm going to start a software business. You could lose all that money on the software business. Now, granted, you could argue that you get some experience along the way. You learn some stuff you didn't learn had you have not done it. But what would you rather have? A $70,000 failure at the end of the day? Would you rather have that or a brand new Porsche sitting there? So there's a chance that your investment could go to zero. And because of that, you're gonna like, man, I wish I would have actually just like spent that on something cool for myself. So that's a very real possibility. Now, where I'm getting at this is that investing in your business is not always a good thing. If you don't plan it out, you don't have it calculated to a T. A lot of things I've wasted money on in the past, paid advertising, banner advertising, when I didn't know how to manage it. That was one of the errors I made. Other errors that I made in the past, just pure waste, has been equipment that I didn't need, servers that I didn't need, employees that I didn't need. All of this stuff adds up, and this can be more costly than all the two things that I mentioned there, simply because it's very easy to justify it at the time as a business expense and investment. You're like, yeah, I'm investing in assets that are going to pay off in the future. There's a chance that it might not. It could go down to zero. Same with, let's say you were to buy a real estate investment, like an apartment building. You could invest into a building where you're not able to keep the vacancy high enough to pay off your debt. You could lose that investment totally, go to zero. You have to go bankrupt with that LLC. Just because it's an investment, it might not pay off. There's a good chance of that. So always keep that in mind. You have to, when it comes to spending money, you have to have a really tight fist on it, have things drilled down to numbers. If you don't know for sure an investment's good, if you're just like, well, let's just see what happens, that's not the right thing to do. All right, guys, so with that said, one thing I'm doing now is, this is something John D. Rockefeller was known for doing. He would carry around a small little notebook. He called it Ledger B. And this was basically a day-by-day running tally of all of his expenses, personal and business, as well as the income streams that were coming in, how much money he was making on various operations, so that he knew to the penny where he stood in all of his daily endeavors. So this is something, a habit I'm trying to build up nowadays. Just get a little cheap little, like I don't know, it's 50 pages or so small. You can keep it in your pockets, about the same size as your phone. This will allow you to know exactly where you stand everywhere, every penny that you spend. All right, guys, so that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, my name is Dan Brock, the Deadbeat Super Affiliate. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification button so you're notified of all the videos that I release when I release them. Also, share this video with your friends and comment below if you have any questions for me. I am happy to help. It's time for me to go take a nap. I'll see you deadbeats later.